Good morning. So today I'm going to talk about something that may seem kind of simple, basic, and I think it's one of the most important things when we're trying to heal. And that's really just creating the time and the space to heal, to explore. And I'll just use myself as an example because I always say never trust a therapist who isn't doing their own work. So I am doing my own work, and there are things that I'm continually working on. And my family, since I retired from the military, they give me a hard time because I may be just as, if not more, busy than I was when I was in the military. And what I've realized is it's subconscious, but it it serves a purpose to stay busy. And part of it is when I stop and I have space, sometimes a lot of that emotion will come kind of rushing at me, and it's a bit overwhelming. And so, if you haven't watched the video on titration, I highly recommend that. But it's kind of my way of titrating. So if I'm busy and I don't have space to think about things and I'm just constantly moving. And then, I do take time, to do retreats. Like I just got back from a holotropic breathwork retreat, which is amazing. Um, but during that space I allow things to unfold and I allow myself to explore kind of what's going on inside, and what emotions are present and what's going on in my body. And then I go back to my hectic life, which can be titration. It can be okay, like I can't just leave this open to to explore and to have all this raw emotion all the time. And I think sometimes I don't give myself like space to integrate, and I'll do a video on integration because a lot of times I think we say the word integration, but people really don't know what that means. And so I will do another video on integration. But I think in a lot of ways, what I've realized is that this pace is not healthy. Like there are times where I go to a breath work and I have these beautiful insights, and then I go straight back to work, and I never really make any changes, and I don't give myself space, and because it is hard, and I will say that we also need support in doing that. And I love my family, but whenever I try to talk to them about the difficult stuff, like they can't hold that. They don't know what to do with it when I start talking about PTSD. And so there's also, the appropriate support when you have this space. Sometimes, just creating space where we can sit around and think about it is not the most effective use of our time. And like I had a wonderful therapist, and it used to be my joke, not with her, but my joke that my therapy time was my weekly cry, which I think that we need. But what I was really feeling is that it wasn't helping me to move forward. It was like I would come in, and a lot of times I would be exploring the same things. Which can be needed. Sometimes you have to explore things from different angles, and kind of peel back the different layers, but I just didn't feel like it was moving me forward. I felt like it was just 50 minutes where I'd come in, I'd open myself up, I'd be raw and I'd be vulnerable, and then I would have to kind of take that back to my life on my own. So I just didn't think that was an effective use of the time that I was creating, and the money that I was spending on it. So there is creating space and time, but also like effective space and time. And so like for me, like an effective use of my space and time is going to these breathwork circles. It offers me everything I need, including community, and people that I can kind of reach out to afterwards to kind of explore things with, because we're used to just accepting each other where we are, and and we don't try to offer advice, or we're not trying to fix it. Um, and so that's been beautiful. But I also do work with ketamine with some of my clients, which I think is a beautiful medicine if it's used appropriately. Um, but I would have clients that would come in, and then they would be like, "Yeah, going back to work after this." And even, my former partner, he would go from his chemo treatments straight back to work. And when I look at what's making us sick, um, I think a lot of it is that we don't create time and space for us. We think it's selfish. We have so many things to do. We just can't take time out. And I would offer that a lot of times, and I would even include myself in this, um, where this dis-ease is coming from, where this mental, like, instability and lack of well-being is coming from, is that we don't prioritize ourselves. We don't create space for us sometimes to just be. And I know that maybe that's a new concept. It was a new concept for me. Yeah, I'm still working with that one. Um, but like, we really need time to explore, because really what's causing a lot of this dis-ease in our system, in our body, and in our mind, is not knowing ourselves, not knowing what we need, not knowing how to take care of ourselves. Um, and and really what we need is just the space to get to know ourselves. Like, you don't get to know someone just by seeing them in passing, by running quickly by them. But that's what we do with ourselves, is we kind of, passing glance, maybe in the mirror as we're brushing our teeth, running to something else. And we never really, take the time to get to know who we really are and what we really want in our lives. And this has been kind of a journey for me. Is um, I felt like I was running, 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 but I wasn't quite sure what I was running to. It's like heading out on an adventure, in your car, and being like, okay, I'm not sure where I'm going. I'm just gonna drive around. We don't do that. And so this is where this time and space comes in, is to really get to know ourselves. It's I kind of relate it to shopping. We go shopping, and we pick things from the rack. We try it on, and we don't take everything home. Sometimes we go, it doesn't fit me. It doesn't, the color doesn't look right on me. And we put it back, and we're okay with that. There's no expectation that everything we try on we have to take home. And yet sometimes we try something on in our own lives, and we say, oh, I can't be a quitter. I have to keep going. And so we don't allow ourselves to try things on and then to put them back. um that we have a lot of cultural expectations that if you start something you have to finish something. And I don't believe that. And I more and more in my life, I'm starting to find truth in the fact that there's a pleasure in trying things on, seeing what actually fits, and sometimes putting it back. There is a part of me that wishes, I had listened to that little voice, early on in my military career, and gone, this doesn't really fit. But I may be a slow learner, and I know that there was something I was supposed to get out of that. And I'm slowly discovering what that is. But I needed the time and the space, to really explore that. And this is a question for you. What does that time and space look like? Sometimes we say, oh, I need to meditate, or I need to go to therapy, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And sometimes we go, this isn't really working for me. And so if it's not working for us, feel free to put it back on the rack. Go, this isn't the therapist for me. This isn't the way that I want to explore this. I'm not really a big person to sit in quiet and meditate. It's not my thing. And so, but I know that I haven't quite found my thing. I know that the holotropic breath work circles are my thing, but that's generally a week, maybe 2 weeks out of my entire year. And so I know that I need to create more space, in every day, and maybe that's part of what I have been running from is not really knowing what kind of space or time I needed to explore that fit me. But I know that I need more of it, and I need it more frequently. I need, maybe little bits of it in each day to maybe journal, or I love to swim and kind of explore. If anybody's heard of EMDR, it has the same effect. It's that bilateral stimulation, and it's a great space to explore. So it's really about figuring out like what works for you, and let me create a little bit of space in every day to really get to know myself. Because I think a lot of times when we don't know ourselves, um, we're kind of like tumbleweeds. When things happen in our lives or people upset us, we just get blown around like a tumbleweed. But when we know ourselves, we are more like a tree, and we're rooted in who we are. And when the wind starts to blow and life starts to happen, we kind of just blow with the wind. We don't get tossed around like a tumbleweed because we are rooted. But it does take time to really get to know yourself. And so, explore this for yourself. If you think that holotropic breath work will work for you, like we have space coming up, feel free to join us. If not, we also offer some one-on-ones. Maybe that's more appropriate for you. Maybe you say, groups aren't my thing. I'm not really ready to become vulnerable in front of a group. Or maybe you're like, I would like to be with other people and to know that other people are going through what I'm going through. Um, and sometimes, and I see this a lot, is I will see people like plop something down on Facebook. And really what I see it as is like a call for help. Like I'm really struggling. I really need people. Um, and sometimes maybe the messages you get back on Facebook are enough, or maybe that prompts people in your life to reach out. But and maybe not. So that's a question to ask yourself: is this really giving me what I need? So yeah, and so I know that today maybe has been a bit of a ramble, I think, but this is really what's on my heart and what I've been working on, is just creating more space. Not running from the things that I don't want to feel, but also feeling it in a way that isn't overwhelming. Just a little bit at a time, chewing off a little bit at a time. And so I hope that this was helpful. And if it is, subscribe. Like I kind of post when I get inspired. So if you subscribe, it'll notify you when I post the next video. Um, and if you want to check out more of what I have to offer, the link is down below, but it's ourworldempowered.com, because that really is my goal for all of us to be empowered and to be thriving, and to really try on, like what works and what gets us to that place of thriving. So yeah, so check that out if you find that supportive, and if not, put it back on the rack. But until next time, I really hope that you're able to create this space for yourself, and to connect in ways that is supportive. And until next time, I'll see you again.